Hey, onegaishimasu. Let's line up over here because we're still shooting. So, what yeah. And stay standing for a little bit. And let's uh, just energy, energy, energy. Uh, Yeah, we can do a little stretch out here. Okay. Um, See, my attention is out here, so you centralize it. You have a center. As you kind of catch the center, you catch that the energy moves in a beat. So it's not like this moves first. There's a beat here and then that. Now here, this hand here. Now we keep going. This hand slides free. And we give him a nice stretch to start the class. Energy. Okay. Thank you. Okay. With a partner. Ah. Feels like a current. It's a little bit like, let's just say it's night. We're in here. We bump around, stumble. Somebody's got to turn the light on. And what is that light? Well, it's an electrical current going through a bunch of stuff, okay? Or we could just sit in the dark. And energy, energy. Okay, energy, energy, energy. So we did this seated. Now what we're doing is we're adding a turn to it. Let's go for a walk. Okay. So same thing. Thinking about the energy. That's a little bit more like just nice, relaxed, easy feeling mentally, physically. Invite that current in. I mean, it's there anyway. It's just most time we kind of compartmentalize it into a lot of thoughts and reacting to what's going on there. So, right? I mean, no sense it was an old man, but he had energy. Okay, right? Had energy. Ah, okay. Breathe. Be a bit more present. And so just standing, adding that turn to it. Okay, a different partner. Ah, good. Now, there's that particular state where the energy is flowing. And there are ways to look at it. Your breath is settled. Your mind is not cluttered. All the juice is going into that. That's kind of why, these days it's a big thing. It's like mental health. There's so much going on out there, and this gets pretty wild, and sometimes it just turns kind of negative, and you've got a complex or a condition, which translates into something in the body. Okay, we're running into that now. Feeling of the energy, it kind of has a softer feeling, but there's juice to it. In other words, I'm all charged up. Well, yeah, but I don't have a center. I don't have any balance. So I got all this juice and easy. You're very easy, but that current is current. It currents. And so sometimes you kind of play a game like, for example, there's a flow to you. Oh, glow. Okay, good. A glow. Okay. I took Elle, she wanted to come today, but she was under the weather. So we go see a Warrior game, playoff game. And, she's not terribly savvy about that at that time. She's much more now, right? But says, "Who is that guy?" I said, "What do you mean?" He said, "The guy out there. He's standing, and there's a glow around him." I said, "Well, that's Stephen Curry." Hmm. I said, "Yeah, yeah, he's got a glow." He said, "Nobody else does. There are other all stars out there." I said, "Yeah, I know." So it's more than, your capability. It's kind of where your energy is. You know what I mean? He scored 40 points. He grabbed 15 rebounds, which was, I think to this day, his tie for rebounds. He gets rebounds as a guard. I hope he gets them tonight because we need it. All right. But that glow, there's kind of a juice, a potency that's there that's kind of mysterious because he's a little guy. He's came in here, he'd be pretty big, but on an NBA court, he's pretty small. But there's that area where he's a force. All right, and he doesn't jump through the roof. He doesn't, but he's got that glow. So one of the things about the glow is right here. Well, there's a potency to that glow. Potency to it. There's an aliveness, a vitalness to it. Oh, and after a while. So one of the things that we're trying to do here is after a while, you let the energy do the movement. You're there, it's happening through you, but on that one, for example, there's an energy river. Even though he's just about to grab, that river kind of takes him a little bit. You see that feeling? Okay, good. Too much work, too much stress, too much ability to control, which is usually insufficient, causing negative thoughts, causing toxins in your body. Okay, good. All right. Okay, good. Now, right there, what you're kind of getting is an energy lead. Okay, good. Now you can stand here, and you can kind of flap your arms forever, but there's a glow here that brings that potency, that aliveness in. So let's just let's do a little different motion. It's just giving him a direction. Okay, all right. So let's change partners again. Okay. See, most any movement, we get hypnotized, like for example, he comes in this way, you're hypnotized in the technique, but there's energy, there's juice. There's juice. And what we're really trying to do is it's connective energy. As much as he gets thrown or something, he goes for an entertaining ride, you know. Right? People pay money to go to amusement parks and right? Now here, I get into his weight. No, there's juice here. In fact, one of the nice things about it, it's kind of an uplifting experience. Not like it's being beaten down or forced. Okay, good. And here, martially, maybe I get punched in the face here, but so I'm covering my face here. And I turn around, give him his arm back here. All right? All right? So almost any movement, if he's coming in this direction. Okay, good. Now the movements themselves have some energy to them. But and it's a paradox. You can get pushed by your own energy. So you're easy with it. It's kind of like it's a paradox. It's kind of a soft glow around you, right? And he comes in this direction. That soft glow, however, brings in kind of an aliveness, a potency to it. It's kind of cool. In fact, in some senses, there's a little bit of a mysterious quality to it. See, since they talk a lot about calming, right? It's almost like if you kind of look at an energy field, there are like subfields within it if he's coming in. There's that field, there's that field, there's this field here. Okay. You give them names. I mean, they were in the Koji tea, but you know, he kind of, I don't know. He may not have done this. I'm kind of making it up a little bit, but you know, I mean, if he's coming in this direction, we go this way, we go this way, we go this way. You know, we got movement. It's got a movement here. He comes in this direction. Okay, we got a movement. He's going to go this. Oh, he's going to come in this direction. Oh, we've got this motion. Boom. Oh, we're coming in this direction. Yes. Right? Oh, we want to do something a little different. We got this motion. And each of those is a technique, form. And there's energy in that form. But where does the energy in that form come from? It comes from energy. All right? Terry Dobson was talking about the way O-sensei talked once. And O-sensei, what is Aikido? Aikido is the power of the universe. And universe is physical, but it also is energy. He's coming in this direction. Then we go, you have a movement. He's coming in this direction. He's in direction. And what happens as you play energy, you realize space and time are connected to that energy. For example, he's coming in this direction. Good, we got that. No, you go. And of course, you can name the techniques and you can do the techniques, but I think Sensei kind of wanted us to play to the energy more. And key here is there's an easiness to you and your space. And it's a paradox to some degree. The easier you are, the more vital the juice is. And, you know, we're doing constructive things together. We're working on a project called Let's Learn About the Universe a Bit More. Okay? And I think one thing O-sensei realized, not only the universe energy, but it has a feeling or harmony with itself. Okay? And that harmony is a very powerful thing. And to be able to bring that harmony in this world where everything is divisive and the country's being ruled by a total nut, we need Aikido more now than we did ever, really. Okay? So, you know, what we're doing here, for example, is coming in direction. Now here, there's a gap here. I'm going to step right into that punch. But no, there's energy there. If there's energy going this way, there's energy going that way. Oh, we want to go that way. After a while, you follow these patterns. Your intelligence starts to kind of expand. And in the moment, you see creative movements. Just pull them out of nothing. Okay? And in that particular case, you're creating. And Aikido is called it Takemitsu Aiki. Why? Because if you're creative, you solve problems. And there's nothing more fun than feeling your own creativity. Okay? In fact, Albert Einstein commented on it. And he said, creativity is intelligence having fun. You sort of have to be smart to get it. But other than that, you're going to specialize on this, or you'll get better at that. More pain, more. Energy. See, it kind of has a soft beat to it. See, when it's too this way, it's too stormy. It's like, you know, everything, we're just. Yeah, sure. It's simple, but it's very potent. That's why key, per se, as he understood it, was kind of mysterious. What's this old man doing this? And, you know, I've heard stories, I wasn't there, that, you know, people basically, he would go off on some trip and people would go to the dojo in Tokyo and say, you know, it feels different. Yeah, Sensei's not here. He's on a trip. And they train. Okay, we're doing the movements. And then, a couple of people, Robert Frazier, Robert Nadeau, they're walking to the dojo. They go, block away or more. I think he's back because they could feel his energy. Yeah, he was doing more. He was more than an old man just talking about crazy stuff. He was trying to point a direction for us. Okay, and so he was kind of a pioneer that way. Okay, but one of the things that we're trying to do is make this a better world by making ourselves better. And so when we learn to settle, find our own sort of center, the own harmony of our space, the circle, the juice starts to current. More open, easy with it. All right. And whatever the movement happens to be, if he's coming in this direction, thinking, now, for example, here, the energy is sinking, but it's deepening, not sinking here. And then we kind of, all right. Now here, for example, is turning and counter turning. And here, for example, it's a turn and a counter turn without a set. So, this direction and that direction, they talk. They make a project out of it that reinforces both of them, amplifies both aspects of that motion. So there's a lot going on if we start to put our attention on the energy. Okay? And as we do that, when things starts to happen is also, as a part of that, we turn our attention to ourselves, more open, easier with the breathing, not so much mental noise going on. Start to feel that quiet glow around you. If he comes to strike or something, it's a good. You have various techniques you're doing, but it's very easy to get hypnotized that what you're doing is the technique. And the technique by law has some energy to it. But there's a major shift when you start to go, the technique came out of something. The technique has energy because it came out of ki, patterns of energy movement. Okay, and the patterns of energy movement are kind of encoded in us in a deep subconscious before it's sort of in our body already when our mind and our body connect. So Aikido is a kind of a transformative art that way. Okay? Now, for example, what we can do if he's coming with a striking motion, boom. See, I'm already creating subject object. Yeah. I used to try to hit Terry Dobson, and I thought I hit him, and he wasn't there. It's very cool. Everybody wants it. He would just be right there, and he'd just come in, big guy. He'd just go like that. It's almost like he turned into space, right? And I'm sure you picked that up from O Sensei. Let's try to hit O Sensei. Where'd he go? Okay. So let's try, if we're coming in this direction. Good. And feel. I'm too into the great space. Feel. Already the technique's going on. Okay, so let's switch in. So right where you are, there's an easiness to you. Your breathing is deeper. Your mind is not cluttered. See, when I'm reactive to what's going on out there, if I think the magic words Donald Trump, all of a sudden I get a lot of stuff happen. So I got to be very easy there. Let him destroy himself. He's doing a good job so far. He may destroy us in the process. We hope he doesn't, but Breathe. settle, open. Now, what happens right there is there's a lot of juice there. Most of the time, what it is that juice is pushing us because we're too occupied up here, too noisy. So as you kind of learn to settle, in other words, focus on your breathing, a bit more here and now through the body, but an easy feeling. Body plus is that glow. In fact, what was funny about it is that, after that playoff game, I brought Elle into watching an Aikido class. And so I said, well, what do you think? And she said, you've got some of that same glow that he has. And I said, wow, that's one of the best compliments I've ever had. You're not doing the glow. The glow is just there because there's a certain the harmony with yourself begins to touch the harmony with the energy. And to some degree, you could say, the universe is energy. As you find that harmony with yourself, you start to bond with aspects of it. Then you have a practice. Yeah. I mean, Curry, for example, he's not just a nice guy. He's probably the most feared guy in the league. I think the Houston Rockets are probably working overtime to somehow mess him up today. That's sports. We got to win. Aikido is win-win. When you're the uke, you're feeling, you're in probably the deepest experience of the energy. Okay? Nage. See, the movement, you do the movement, but the movement happens through you. You're easy enough that you're allowing the proper movements to happen. And you get credit for it. All right? I mean, I think it's funny that Trump, I'm not to blame for this economic turn. It was all Biden. No, the economy was thriving under Biden. Now, inflation was high, yes, but no, it was Biden's fault, not mine. It's like, it's a lie. And that's what happens to yourself. When you stay too much up here, you may have some power, but you got to learn to lie. Because there's a balance lacking with something larger. And he says, you know what I really want to be? I want to be the Pope. Delusions of grandeur. God complex. If he says it, it's right because it came out of his mouth. That's illness. So we want to go the other way. We want to be looser, freer, more accountable. Yeah. As you or I open, we're easier with it. We start to kind of bond with the universe as energy. In the process, we understand ourselves as energy. We're something called spirit. We're not just ego I. All right? All right, so everybody up. Now, one of the things, for example, let's just say he's coming with a striking motion. Okay. Oh, he's got weight, but here, boom. Now, what I'm trying to do here, this can be very easy, a blocking motion, but in the process of blocking, I set and receive his force. Rotate. Roll with it. Now what we're going to do is the same thing. But sometimes, it's a more physical situation. People grab Curry, and the joke is maybe sometimes they got their hand in his jock strap. The referees don't see it, they don't call it. There's a lot of cheating that goes on in sports, which is unfortunate. Because, it's all about winning. And what you're trying to do is win over yourself. Get to that place where you're easy with things, where you're establishing your connection with energy and increasingly understanding yourself as energy. Key. And then once that bond is formed, there's just natural motion. The technique happens through you. You're more transparency, where things happen well through you. Okay, so if he's coming in this direction, so now one of the things here, this is there. This is the contact point, not my fingers, not my palm, the edge of my palm. But what we're going to do is we're going to roll with it. Right now we could just keep going that way. But since we're doing the Kotegaeshi, what we're going to do is that way. Now what I'm going to do is swing, but here, use this motion this way, and we get that. Okay. So there's more contact physically, but we're still going to roll. Energy, for example, here, more advanced. It goes this way. But sometimes you got to say, okay, it's kind of a physical day. But come on, just rolling with it. Now we're going to come here, make a connection, and we're going to roll back the other way without setting. Okay? All right? So let's change partners, switch to the yokel man. Not this motion, that motion. You're rolling with it. If he's coming in, let's say with a more direct, you're good, I'm rolling with it. When you're easy, you're like a sphere. When he pushes on you, you rotate. If he tries to pull you, you rotate the other way. He tries to push you down, you roll, and he goes that way. He tries to pull you, he falls back. And then the uke learns through the experience of it about spherical motion, the actual ease of the movement when you allow it to happen through you. Okay? So Yoko Menuchi version of Kotegaeshi, different partners. I do. Oftentimes this is a technique that's used off of a. No, okay, no. Notice I got two hands here. Right? But I'm not set here. I'll rotate to here. Now, if I put this here, then there's that area. So you kind of want to make sure, for example, boom. Now right here, you got the knife. No throw. Because I have to get that, see, Kotegaeshi, kayasu, gayasu, the verb means to reverse, not to twist. Wrist twist. That's American. Okay. All right. Yeah, not right here. Well, I really want to be right here. It's not. Point the knife towards me or try to break his wrist. Right about here. You got the knife. Because the actual sense of it, see, if I get too this way, I can't do it. If I get too loose, it's going to come right at me. So that actual reversal of the wrist, we're just going to keep the same partner, no throw. We're going to try to do the knife thing. It's tricky. Okay, for example, if we want to do it slow here, who takes the wrist? Now, you know what I would do, a kick, okay? Put your hand here already. Good. You know, because if it's this way now, you know, this way, we say now, without moving, rotate your hip. No, the other way. Now counter rotate your hip. Okay, now what I would do a little bit. Feel the rotation. Yeah, feel. Now reach and take the knife. See, when I make the wrist too much a point of contention, he tenses, he won't give it. That's what we're trying to work with. If you can get the knife out, you understand the story without throwing. Okay, so there are a couple of extras over there. Okay, let's keep the same partners. How about? Okay. Yeah, one of the things that as you study, let's just say, see, there's a study of the movement, the technique, okay? But there's also a corresponding study into energy, okay? And sometimes, you're looking at, for example, here, he grabs, and I try to lift. But really what happens, see how the elbows get heavy? Which produces a displacement, creating an upflow. If I try to just go this way, it doesn't work. Conversely, if I go this way, and good. Energy, 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 energy. There's a flow going this way. There's a flow going this way. There's a flow going this way. There's a flow going that way. And you can get that technique from there, and you can kind of get a little through. Now here he's got an opening right here. So, and even the martial sense, I recognize there's a gap in my energy field, which means he's if you're worrying about what he's doing, your mind's too busy to deal with him. All right, so there are a lot of paradoxes most of the time. What you're really saying, you're going to think, but your thinking patterns change. Instead of, how do I do the technique? How does the energy move? Likewise, how does the energy want to move? Because the game I'm playing is the energy always wants to move in a way to make a connected situation where we're in some sense of harmony, but that harmony is a yin yang. So for here, for example, this lifting motion, the elbows get heavy. There's an elevator here, but guess what? The elbows are the shaft. All right. I'm trying to lift the elevator. That way. Okay, so just explaining a couple of things that, for example, here, goes the other way. I said, what happened? There's a kind of an energy blip. But the elbow, you see how the elbow, even when the elbows go up, they retain their heaviness. So there's an area. Movement. Just keeping a connection. This is a stupid pen that we don't teach, but it's effective. You find yourself being creative. And when you're kind of in that relationship with the energy, what you're doing is what O-sensei told us to learn to do, which is take musu Aikido. It's martial arts. It's bu, it's take, but musu, you're giving birth to, which means you are being creative. And when you are in a creative state, you're probably feeling healthier. You appreciate things. You appreciate yourself. It's a better world. And you feel ignored, not appreciated. And the wolf is pounding on your door, and Donald Trump is president. It's not a good world. And we can't do much about that right now, but we can. For example, here, okay, there's an uplifting quality. You're freer. Yeah, there's a bunch of stuff, but my mind doesn't have to go crazy around it. And some days, that's all you got. It's like, okay, yeah, the energy flows. And then it flows in this situation, it flows in that situation. There's a better level of me in those situations. Therefore, I feel a self-appreciation. So I'm going to draw appreciation from whoever's out there because I can't. All right. Do I appreciate Steph Curry? You better believe it. He's earned it. All right. No matter what happens today in this stupid game, which is based on winning and losing. Curry's Curry. And there's a bunch of, and good the thought that the other team wins. They're young, they're athletic, they haven't made their mark. They're flawed. And my hope is today, the older warriors who've been there in game sevens, they face these young guys that have been running rampant. but it's a game 7. They're a little tighter. They can't handle the flow of a situation and let what's supposed to happen through them. And if they win, they win. It's fine. I won't be happy, but that's another. I'll have to meditate a little bit more. All right. This is an interesting one because we're establishing space and holding in. Tighter quarters. Just more expansive. Like that. So just tied in, tied out. Tied in, tied out. That's kind of, you begin to see it. You recognize flow is flow because you are flow. Okay? Let's put the knives away and change partners. Switch to the Kokyu-ho. Man, touch. What is the floating bridge of heaven? Since I was so advanced, he kind of created this. He didn't create floating bridge. It's a reference to the Japanese myths of creation. But, and one of the things that we were kind of discussing, for example, all of a sudden you start to see the techniques as the movement of the energy. And of course, you're still doing a technique. And just in doing that, you've changed, you've transformed. And as we begin to see the movements as energy, and of course we're energy as well, then we're part of an energy system, a harmony between the activity, the situation, and who we are. And no sense at his level, I mean, to some degree, it's a stage where we start to experience a type of transformation. If he's coming in this direction, then okay, good. Oh, that's kind of a stupid move, you go like this and, people fall down. That's, but what was really funny is that, I don't know why, but, my first year in Aikido, we would watch these O-sensei movies, right? I mean, they weren't videos yet. They were home movies that people shared, okay? In fact, and so you see O-sensei, and he would raise his hand and people would fall down. And so Robert Frazier would say, Jack, get out there, we're going to do some throws. And so the only thing I just stick in mind with O-sensei was I would do this, and people would fall down. And people were falling down for no particular reason. And all I was trying to do was copy him, There were other crazy things like, there were people that didn't know how to take a fall, and they would come at me and I would do this crazy move here. They would roll, they would be okay. And I was thinking, this is pretty cool. And all I was trying to do was copy him because I didn't know anything else, right? Because you watch the movies, what do? He raises his hand, people fall. People rush at him, he dives at the ground, and they roll over him. And those are two moves I knew. So people were falling down and rolling. I thought, even people who didn't know how to roll were somehow in a protective field of energy, And that was, as I said, I didn't know anything. So all I could do was try to copy him, right? And so, sometimes what it is, however, you're touching a pretty major place, even though I can't be doing this. I'm just a beginner. You got beginner's mind. And what happens to us as we kind of proceed is we learn a lot more, but we don't have beginner's mind anymore. And so, one way of looking at the floating bridge is it's a place where you rediscover or transform back into beginner's mind. You see yourself as energy, you see the energy of the universe as energy. You realize there's a simpatico. Your partner represents the energies out there. You have your own energies, and the energies dialogue and create together. And what's created is the Aikido movement. When we get too caught up in the Aikido, there's energy in that, but it's not the same. Okay? So, If he's coming in this direction, go ahead. In that mode. Easy. I'm doing a movement. Now, just through the movement, I'm understanding how energy works. And I understand how I work because I'm also energy. Easier. So two hands, we can dance back a little bit. Rotate. All right. Turn here. And we got to move. Okay. So it's kind of a two-handed attack to the chest, the mune area. And we're just going to catch it before they actually lock on. Do a Shiho Nage entering. Okay. So give it a name. But then the wheels start turning and I start to do the movement. And I'm really saying, you know, it's like, okay, boom, boom. Do you feel that? Boom. A wave come up right there. You see how it's a reversal? Here we could go that way, but we're free enough. We can go this way, but we can reverse. Energy is very easy with itself. So I say do easier with me. I become more in tune with the energy and my energy frees up. Okay, so let's go. Different partner. Whew. Was that, see, this is going out, but it's also going back. And then we have a meeting of the minds there. Okay? Energies are that way. After a while, okay? It's almost like you think the whole universe is Izanagi. No, there's Izanami too. And what happens is that, for example, if I exaggerate it and pull on his arm, the thing tightens when I try to get under the arm. Well, right about here, everything kind of comes nice and easy together. Now, tall people always have a more difficult time with shorter people. But that's why that helps. So you'd be surprised how much that really helps the Shihonage. And the other thing is, again, I'm not trying to solve the Shihonage. I'm trying to look at how energy moves and how I can become a part of that energy to facilitate the way the energy moves. Okay? So in the process, I get to be a better person because I'm not so obsessed, right? Warriors better win tonight, I'll be depressed for the next 2 weeks. Well, maybe. But I have a lot of faith in 30, right? There's a point where he's been there. And the other team is riding a lot of high, but this is a game 7. There's pressure. And what happens? What is pressure? It's energy moving. But energy moving doesn't create pressure. What creates pressure is my reaction to the energy moving in the way it's moving. And that creates pressure on my system. And if the other team wins today, more power to them. I don't like them, but I can live with it. Okay? It's not like Donald Trump winning. It's a little more serious. But if he's coming in this direction, say at this point, 1 is a wide open, so we cover the face. 2, instead of going under the arm, see how there's a reverse torque. Now here is what we call the meeting of the minds. His flow and my flow connect right there. Now for him, the taller people, it's harder. But you get that, we call, for example, the reverse flow. Yeah. In other words, you are stepping, but you're not pulling. You're not putting everything into Izanagi. Izanami is there supporting the motion. It's both of them. When you turn around, they're pretty cool with each other. You have a good technique. Okay? All right. Thank you. Let's line up over there. Oh, and the reason we are here, Yu Chen. Good. And let's come on out. Unfortunately, she's got to be she'd had a cold, so she missed a class. But we wanted to congratulate her because she finally got her certificate. She's a little late in actually, she would have gotten this a while back, but she didn't put the application in until recently. But she got her certificate from World Aikido headquarters. Okay. And let's be a little bit more formal. Thank you, Paul. And so this was a certificate from Hombu Dojo and Yu Chen Shen. And, I memorized the dialogue. It's not like I can actually read it. Migi no mono konpan Aikido yondan inkasu. O inkasu. Okay. And this was done the first month. Yeah. Okay. So anyway, this whole thing is about the date. And then printed on the extent is Aikido Doshu Ueshiba Moriteru. So congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Okay. And this is your passport. Okay. And this is something to wrap it up in. Okay. And I'll get rid of this, I guess. No, I'll get it. Oh, if you want to do it, thank you. Okay, thank you. Okay. And we're going to meet at the cafe at the shore lake, the shoreline lake, whatever it's called. I always get the name wrong.
Shoreline American Bistro. Shoreline Lake American.
Okay, yeah. We may have to park a fair distance away because it's a good day, and I'm sure a lot of people will be out on the lake. So there's parking. If you can't find parking in the lot, you go back out, and there's a restaurant. There's a bunch of parking. We're gonna get a chance to walk in the sun. Okay, so thank you.
Thank you, Cynthia.
Okay, I guess we bow out. So let's do that right now. Okay, thank you very much. Yes.